Hey, today I'm talking about 3 really good Ryan Gosling films that I've seen before, all based on real life. And the names of those 3 movies are Remember the Titans, First Man, and The Big Short. Next up is Remember the Titans. This is a 2000 film, and the basic premise is how football cured racism. No, it's the story of a high school that gets racially integrated in the 1970s and how this football team was forced to come together and did incredibly well because they were able to overcome racial biases. I remember when this came out and it just kind of took over all football related stuff. Like even once I got to high school a couple years later, the football team doing like some of the songs and chants from this movie and just quoting it all the time. At the time I was like, okay guys, come on. But like upon watching it this time, man, I totally get it. I 100% get it. Like it really plays into the primal instincts that come out with sports related stuff. Like it really nails that vibe of you're standing in a huddle, you're just like yelling and chanting and all in unison. It's just this deep primal release of energy of just like, yeah, we're gonna go take down the mammoth. And it's just like, it energizes me in such a powerful way. Like the way that only sports can get into your soul. The first act does move crazy fast, but I'm kind of okay with that because it's like, okay, we gotta do any movie that's about race plot points. So let's just kind of get through them quickly so we can get to the rest of the more interesting story. And then too, a huge part of this movie is the soundtrack. Like the music in this movie freaking slaps. It's so good. But it doesn't feel like, oh, we made this fun playlist because it's a period piece. The music feels integrated into the story because a lot of the characters do talk about music and use music as a way to relate to one another, which is very real life. But then too, it speaks to like the universal language that is music. A song connects to you and the same song connects to this person, like there is this now connection between us and the beauty of that. And as much as this is a sports movie, this is without a doubt a music movie. And the filmmakers really understood that and used it so well. And then on top of that, it's just a really satisfying movie. Like you know where it's going, but when it gets there, you're just like, yeah, we did it. I loved this movie. Even if you're not a football person, there's so much to love and enjoy about this movie. It's a good, fun, interesting time. Goes to some great places, great character stuff, great moments, beautiful moments. It's such a fantastic film that I thoroughly enjoyed and without a doubt recommend. Next up is First Man. This is a 2018 film starring Ryan Gosling about Neil Armstrong. Basically like the decade leading up to him being the first man on the moon. And it's really good. There's so much I love about it. Firstly, the emotional core of the movie is in the early 60s, Neil lost his daughter to cancer. And he carries that with him throughout the entire film. Like he never talks about it. And characters talk about how he never talks about it. But like that's at the core of everything he's doing is this personal death that got to him so deeply. But in turn, it's also about how he's lost so many friends throughout the way. Like his wife mentions, prior to the movie starting, there was like one year where they lost 4 friends during test flight stuff and how they got really good at funerals that year. And then throughout the film, some of the characters do tragically die. And so yes, it's about his daughter's death, but it's really a stand-in for all of the death throughout his life that he's carrying with him. Just pushing on despite all of this great tragedy, and that's so beautiful. And I love it too because like by the time we finally do get to Apollo 11 and getting to the moon landing stuff, he has a great line. He risks his life doing this thing and one of his bosses is like, is risking your life really worth the cost of this one thing? And he's like, this is a question you should have asked a decade ago before all of his friends died. And so with that, like you do feel this moment of triumph once we get to the moon landing for sure. sure, but it's also like you feel the cost. You feel the human life cost. Because I would say too that like the Apollo 11 stuff is a pretty short segment of the movie, but I think they made the right call there in making it short because we know what happens there. That's not the important part. The important part is the emotional weight that brought us to that moment. And so spending lots of time establishing that was the important part. Like spending so much time talking to his sons about how he potentially will not come back and how he doesn't want to have that conversation. His wife just has to force him to have that conversation. But it's like, of course you don't really want to admit, I could just die and will never see me again, because you don't really want to think about your own mortality. Shifting gears, anytime there is like a big test flight or a rocket launch or stuff like that, the sound design alone is so incredibly powerful. I'm going to recommend this movie, but I especially recommend it. Make sure like your sound system's set up really well, or if you have really nice headphones, have those on while watching it, because I really think that's going to add another layer to this movie to really make you feel the gravity of what he is doing in that moment, because there are just these really incredibly intense moments. You're on basically a controlled bomb right now. Anything could go wrong at any moment. And they did such a great job with the sound design to make you feel that. Like the Gemini rocket going off, that was wild. And then in turn, it's not afraid to be quiet. And I always love a movie when it's not afraid to be quiet and understands the importance of quiet, especially because Neil wasn't, you know, the most talkative guy. Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie and would wholeheartedly recommend it. It's a beautiful story, told so well, really hits you in the emotions, and yeah, just delivers. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed, totally recommend. And lastly is The Big Short. This is a 2015 movie about the 2008 housing crisis. I remember watching this movie when it came out and how I really didn't understand everything, but was also very frustrated upon vaguely learning what happened in 2008 and the lead up to it. This time around, I still found it confusing, but I was able to understand things a bit better. It's really interesting too because they do such a great job with emotions of making you feel excited as these guys figure out the housing market is about to crash. We need to make money off of this. And people are doubting them and literally laughing in their face. But like, you know, as a viewer that the housing market's about to crash. And it's all because of the greed of Wall Street and lots of fraud and stuff. So like, it's so exciting and satisfying. But then once you get to the third act, where like, you're kind of expecting everything's gonna come to a head finally. And all of the characters we like are gonna get really rich. Then it starts to dawn on them like, yeah, we're about to get really rich, but the American economy is gonna go to hell and thousands of people are gonna lose their jobs, they're gonna lose their savings, they're gonna lose their retirement, they're gonna be homeless, people are gonna die because of the greed of Wall Street and the ignorance of the government. And what you would want to be a happy moment is not happy whatsoever. It's so messed up. Like the part where Brad Pitt yells at his two young friends for laughing and cheering. He then points out to them what I just said, and they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. We kind of lost sight of what's actually happening. But that whole thing was just done very, very well. Like I said, it is a bit confusing, like intentionally so, like real life. And the movie tries its best to explain it. It doesn't do the best job, but it still paints a pretty good picture. So yeah, no, really good movie, totally recommend. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Remember the Titans, sitting at number 15 in the Really Like section. And then after that is First Man, sitting at number 21, again in the Really Like section. And then bringing up the rear right behind that is The Big Short, sitting at number 22, again in the Really Like section. This is out of a total of 93 old movies so far this year.